Road, just about here, August the 8th, 1969. It's looking that way than Abbey Road itself, with the Beatles walking towards us across the crossing from the other side. Just to point out to the right place, first to see this wall here on the picture, was actually the wall of Abbey Road Studios itself, the other side of the road there, with the writing on, more of that in a moment. And on this side of the road, see the tops of the buildings through the trees, up on this side. Let's walk across the famous crossing, shall we? To say we are coming back this way, put on for photographs at the end of the tour. But please remember, when the Beatles posed on the crossing, had the police stop the traffic for them.
Yeah.
We don't have that privilege today. Please be very careful, it can be a busy road. Let's walk across and I'll talk more about it the other side. So here we are again, the famous Abbey Road picture. This wasn't going to be the cover of the record at all. In fact, it's going to be called Abbey Road. The original title was going to be Everest, named after the favourite brand of cigarettes, smoked by Jeff Emerick, the Beatles recording engineer. But someone had the bright idea. The Beatles should go to Mount Everest to shoot the album cover. And I won't tell you what they said to that idea. It was rather rude. Instead of saying go to Mount Everest, to change the title to Abbey Road, and shot the picture on the crossing, virtually outside the studio it was recorded in. Set you a lot nearer, a lot warmer than going to Mount Everest. That's probably the only place that they could agree to go together. Because the Abbey Road was the last album they recorded. It's the second last photo session was the Abbey Road picture. Just by default it was called Abbey Road. The only place could agree to go together. Because ever since the Beatles posed on the crossing, well, millions of other people have as well. There's people on the crossing virtually every hour of every day. Lots of people go across barefoot, just as Paul McCartney did, original picture. Some of the so-called clues about Paul being dead. There are bizarre rumour spread to the world like wildfire in 1969. Rumour was basically that Paul had actually died in a car accident in 1966. The Beatles have got an imposter to take the place of the band, so they're famously affected. Also, the Beatles have felt rather guilty about doing this, to put first clues on album covers and on songs to the fact that Paul was really dead. Lots of these so-called clues can be found on the Abbey Road picture. This is supposed to be Paul McCartney's funeral procession, with George Harrison dressed as the gravedigger, Ringo Starr, the Undertaker, and John Lennon, the preacher. So look, Paul is wearing an old suit and is barefoot, supposedly how bodies are buried. We have a body. It's not explained is why Paul is walking to his own funeral. It's another story altogether, I guess. There's another theory about Paul. Some people said, look, Paul's holding his cigarette in his right hand, but surely the real Paul McCartney is left-handed. They assume wrongly, of course, this guy in the picture isn't Paul at all, but must be the imposter, a guy they call William Campbell. They also said under the alias Billy Shears. Hence on Sgt. Pepper, simply introducing a new singer to the band. All very silly, of course. I was also interested about the Volkswagen Beetle car parked by the crossing, especially the car's licence plate. The second part of the licence plate reads 281F. If you believe the rumour, 28IF. This is supposed to signify that Paul McCartney would have been 28 years old if he was still alive. Right, he's only 27 in 1969, so well, never mind. I could go on for hours about the rumour, there's so many different clues, be here all day telling them all. In fact, there's books written about the subject. Boys' so-called clues need to be explained away. There's nothing that strange about their clothes for a start. The Volkswagen car, well, that belongs in an Abbey house, the apartment block here. The guy happened to park his car by the crossing that day. He probably regretted it though, his licence plate was stolen by Beatles fans for years afterwards. That's the case though, got his own back. The car sold at auction in the 1980s, about £2,500. He should have kept it though. More recently it sold for £11,000.
Wow.
It's now in the Volkswagen Museum in Germany. Abbey's. Just sparked by the crossing that day. There's the power of the Beatles for you. Reason that Paul having his shoes on was simple really. It's a very hot day. But Paul arrived at the session wearing sandals. I took them off the last couple of shots. Here's an alternate Abbey Road picture going the other way across. This time you can see that Paul has still got his sandals on. If you use that picture instead, that clue wouldn't happen at all. Because you can't see Paul's cigarettes for the so-called clues. It was only comparatively recently that Paul had the last laugh from the whole thing. He called a recent album Paul is Live. Not Paul is Dead, Paul is Live. For the front cover they superimposed Paul with the Abbey Road pictures. Took the other Beatles out. They kept on the Volkswagen car. But changed the licence plate. This time it's not read 28 if. This time it reads 51 is. Paul's age when this picture was taken. Paul's way of saying he's very much still alive and still making records. But this picture also exposed another myth that the crossing has moved